Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cool Story Show.
Hi.
Hello.
This is episode number 0.5, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, episode 0.5.
plus zero.
Something like that. So today we are going to be talking about the drunkest things that we've ever done and that we've ever seen our friends do.
That we're admitting to.
That we're admitting to.
And that we can remember.
Yeah.
That we can say without getting arrested.
Which was hard. The remember part, that took a lot.
That's why we have drunk stories about other people. So just so everyone knows, I am Andy Spiteri. I'm your host for this episode.
I'm David Meyer.
I'm Alex Grenett.
Aaron Corbett here.
And let's get right into it. The drunkest things that you have ever done. And I'm going to start off with probably the most notorious drinker of the bunch of us. And when I say notorious, I mean blackout notorious. His name is Alex Grenett. You know him as Gurns. Alex, do you think you could enlighten us, if you could, about the drunkest thing you remember ever doing?
Like I said, the remember part was hard. And I haven't blacked out in a while. Gave up the tequila.
At least 2 weeks.
And it's been solid.
It's
solid
been,
3.
It's been at
Solid
least 3 that he's blacked
solid
out.
3 weeks. I don't black out that often. But drunkest, and which I wouldn't be upset to say happened in Vegas. I think if any place to have that happen, it should be Vegas. My good friend Dave and I went down, was that 2 years ago, almost now?
Almost now, yeah.
And we were down there, and I think it was about our second night there that I was playing poker. David had already gone to the hotel room. It was probably 2, 3 in the morning, I think.
Yep.
And I'm playing poker, and I'm like, all right, I lost my money, which was kind of a running thing in the middle of the night. I lose my money, but still drink alcohol. They give you free alcohol in Vegas when you're gambling, which is...
When in Vegas.
Exactly.
Perfect for you, too.
Yeah.
Amazing. So I decide to go back to our room and go to bed for the night. But as I'm heading up the elevator, for some reason in my head I'm thinking I'm getting a fucking hooker. It's Vegas. I'm getting a hooker.
I would. I get 2.
It's Vegas.
And some crack.
You get 2 for the price of 1.
Exactly.
Well, if you had crack, it'd be easier to use.
Now, are the hookers in Vegas hot?
I don't know. I think so.
He doesn't remember.
You gotta remember,
Well,
there's the NASDAQ, there's the blue chip.
So they hand out cards. The girls look beautiful on them. They have buses drive by. The girls look beautiful on them. And I think it would be better than a Calgary. But in my head, I'm wasted. It's Vegas. I'm getting a hooker. I don't care at this
You don't
point.
know if they're better than Calgary.
Exactly.
I guess the question is, do they take credit cards?
Yeah, it's a little swipe down.
Like,
Oh,
where?
So I get off the elevator, I'm into Dave's room, and I come
That
in there.
kind
He's
of
like,
swipe.
he's like, oh, like you're finally back, and I'm like, yeah, hey. And I'm like, hey, you need to get out of the room. Like, I'm getting a hooker. Alex, like, what are you talking about? You're not getting a hooker. I'm like, Dave, like, get out of the room. Like, I'm getting a hooker. Moral Dave here is adamantly convincing me to not get a hooker, but drunk Alex is adamantly
An
convincing
asshole,
him to get a hooker.
Dave, you're a piece of shit.
But Dave,
Let me give you some pretext to the story. Alex comes in the room. His shirt's untucked, like half unfolded, like over his pants. He's got 2 buttons undone. His hair's messy, like he's just been partying with like 50 girls.
49.
And he's trying to
One
convince
days
me
early.
that even though our flight leaves
I
next
wouldn't say
morning
girls either.
at like 8 a.m., that he wants to get a hooker and bring her back to our hotel room.
So I'm. It probably took 7 minutes
Yeah,
back and
of
forth of
arguing.
me. Like, I'm getting a fucking hooker. Where the fuck are you gonna get a hooker? Like, seriously, you walk out the fucking strip and there's a bus that drives by that's like, call this number, and I'm like, I can get a fucking hooker here. I'm like, I'm gonna come back with a fucking hooker, and you're gonna get out of the fucking room. Dave's like, you're not getting a hooker, and I'm not leaving this room. Like,
She's
you're
gonna
gonna come
take
back
the
with a
fucking
hooker,
keys.
and you're gonna get the fuck out of the room. So Dave's like, whatever, fucking go then. And so I leave, close the door, and this doesn't happen often, but some part of me, it came over me. It was like, you're not getting a hooker, Alex. But
Never comes over me when I get
I-
hookers.
the
never-
length of conversation, it's different.
Usually the hooker tells me it was a bad idea.
In this case, it was Dave. So, and
Didn't you go back to the blackjack table?
I went right back to poker. I said to him, like, hey, I'm not going to get a hooker. Well, no, I didn't say that. I left, said to myself, I'm not going to get a hooker. Went back to poker for another probably hour and a half, 2 hours.
It's not quite a hooker.
No.
But you still lost
I
a lot
won
of
money.
Oh, you won money.
I won money.
But you know what
I
he is?
made money.
He's hooked on phonics.
Well,
Was that a stone?
all right. I'd like to segue now to the drunkest thing that you, Aaron Corbett, have ever done before in your life.
Okay,
you remember.
there have been many, but one that comes to mind involves Andy Spiteri, who's sitting next to me here. We were at our friend Trevor's bachelor party. We had been drinking profusely all night, starting quite early, around 6 or 7.
Heavily as well.
Very heavily.
Very heavily.
We had been to, I want to say something like a dozen or 2 dozen or 30 bars or 2 bars. I don't really remember, but we had a lot to drink at this point.
And we went there in style in our party bus.
And exactly. And what you have to remember about, the most important thing to remember about me and Andy Spiteri is we are gentlemen, we are friendly, we have sparkling personalities. So when I tell you that we got into a fight and got beat up by several large men outside of a bar, you got to know that that's a rarity, because that just doesn't happen to us. So we are sitting in a bar very close to where we live actually at the time. This is the end of the night. It's probably 1:30, might be 2 in the morning. We for some reason go there to get one last beer. Probably a big mistake. The beers, it was definitely a mistake.
At that point in the night, I actually the room wasn't even spinning anymore. It was like the galaxy was just doing loops around my head.
Yeah, the room was like doing somersaults for me. Anyway, we have a little bit of a. We finish our beers with another friend of our, Dan, is there with us.
And there was a hot waitress there too, and we bought her a beer.
There was a hot waitress. She was quite attractive. We bought her a beer because we're gentlemen, like I said before. So there was. I had an Alex Gurnett business card. I threw a big stack of them. There was beer everywhere, and all I remember is looking down at the table, and a beer has spilled, and there's Alex Gurnett business cards everywhere, on the floor, on the table, on the seat. So at this point, me and Andy figure it's a good time to pay our bills and go home because we can't stand. Dan thinks the same thing. He leaves to go call a cab. Me and Andy walk out. Bills are paid. We're good to go.
We also happen to live right beside this bar.
Like, yeah, we're about like 5 minutes from an apartment building we live at, so... we walk out, night's golden, we're about to go pass out, everything's great. The waitress runs out after us saying, "Wait, you guys gotta pay your bill." And we turn around and we say, "Hey, we paid our bill, go look on the table, bitch, like there's money there, get out of our hair." And like,
that's a good rhyme.
We just
solid rhyme.
You know, we just walk away, and then these large Neanderthal type gentlemen were standing by the door, took it upon themselves to follow myself and Mr. Spiteri around the corner behind the bar. And they proceeded to, we had some words, a little bit of, you might say, confrontation occurred. There was a little bit of shoving, some yelling, some screaming, some swearing possibly. Me and Andy defended ourselves ardently and won the night, went home as champions.
Now, at this point in the night, in our finest moment as we're leaving, I am lucky that, I'm saying like it's lucky that we didn't get beat up worse than we did. Now, at this point, Mr. Corbett, being a drunken scoundrel...
everything I just said was total bullshit. Every swing we took at them was laughable at best. I remember trying to punch, hitting nothing but air, almost hitting Andy, and then falling over by myself.
And just as we're about to get out of there, unscathed,
now,
this guy and his big mouth...
So, these guys are pretty much laughing at us, totally sober. Now, let me just make this very clear. There are 3 of them, and they are all big. Much bigger than me and Andy. Now, we're fine specimen of male, obviously. We're fit, we're rowdy, we're rigid, you know.
Rigid.
And what did I say?
Did you say rigid?
Like erect.
Like ribbed?
How'd you know?
For her pleasure?
Well, we'll get to that later.
Continue.
That's next week.
So, we have our words, we have our laughable attempt at a fight. We're walking away, and for just some reason, I decide... fuck the biggest guy there, because, you know, I don't really know what was going through my head. I turn around, and from across the parking lot, I don't exactly remember what I screamed at him.
I called him a stupid cocksucker.
I called him a stupid cocksucker, which he turned around and kind of walked my direction. I walked his direction, leaving Andy behind. I'm pretty sure he was trying to tell me to stop being an asshole.
Yep.
I walked up to the guy.
Rare.
He got in my face. You got to think now. He's like 3 feet taller than me, so I was looking up, basically, his nose. He said something, and I said something else that didn't help the situation. And at that point, the next thing I knew, I hit the ground, and I was like, fine, I bounced back up, I'm all good. And then the next thing I remember is I'm walking down the alleyway with Andy. I've got just blood just exploding out of my face everywhere I go. We walk up to our apartment, it's all over my hands, it's all over my shirt. It's awful. He broke my nose. He punched me in the face. But you know what? It was all right because I had the last word. I had the last laugh. I woke up in the morning. I had a broken face. I had dirt and glitter and vomit and all kinds of shit on my clothes. So it was a good bachelor party. I went to work. Andy went to work. We got there early. Actually, we showed up. People incessantly made fun of us. I had a black eye for my friend's wedding, which was pretty awesome. And just for the record, Alex and Dave Meyer were not there to help us with this fight.
Or else we would.
And our friend Dan, that I had mentioned before, he was hanging out at the bar waiting for a cab whilst we were getting into a fight. So shout out to Dan. Thanks for your help, buddy. I hope I can be there for you one day, too.
We would have won had we been sober.
Yes.
Like to say that.
I'll make this very clear. We could just barely stand, and I don't even know how my eyelids stayed open.
Okay. So I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit of a story about our friend Dan. Now, our friend Dan is a recovering gambler, and his girlfriend is quite a bit in debt as well. So they got a new apartment, and as anyone does when they decide to get a new apartment, they threw a housewarming party. Now, where all of us work at the same place, and where we work, we have a few heterite gentlemen that come in every now and then. And they have a deal with one of our managers where if he grants them exceptions for stuff they want to bring back, they give him goods, such as bread, or such as cookies, or sometimes such as wine. I think we've all had some heterite wine at this table before. Now, understand, when I say it's wine, it's not really wine.
It's not wine. It's mold in a jar.
It's kind of like piss water,
Liquid
just sunbathed.
If mold evolved enough to pee, it would pee into this bottle.
If mold had a Pokemon evolution, it would be heterite wine. So anyway, I end up with 2 bottles of this shit, and I bring it over to Dan and Becca's, and I'm coming with.
I also have a bottle of this of my own.
And we're we're having a good night, and we're playing a card game called Fuck You. Basically, you just put your cards down and fuck people with the same cards as many times as you want. We're playing sociables. So people there think it's funny to have a sociable card that's number 8 is Andy drink, number 9 is Aaron drink.
Now we're playing with 3 decks, and there's also a boys drink. So there are. Do my math for me here, Dave.
There was also a people with the letter first name A drink.
So there was 16 chances for me and Andy to drink every time somebody pulled a card. So basically, me and Andy drank. More specifically, Andy drank almost every other time a card was pulled.
And you just have to understand how dirty heterite wine is. It's
you could clean Andy's bathtub with it.
Yeah, that's bad. If you ever seen my bathtub,
we think it's probably made in a bathtub.
A bathtub like mine.
Yeah.
So at some point in the night, I'm on Dan's balcony. He lives on the second floor, and we're all just like, "Hey, I bet I can piss farther than you." And I was drunk, and I was like, "No way, man!" So we're out, we're pissing off the balcony. We're all having a good time, and I have to work the next day. I have to open the store. So eventually, I was just like, I should leave. And Aaron's like, you know what? I'm going to leave as well. Our apartment is probably about a 15, maybe 10-15 minute jaunt from Dan's place. So we're like, we're gonna walk home.
All right, if I can pick up the story for about 2 seconds here, just from my point of view. Consider it this way. We walk down one large road for about 3 blocks. We make a right turn and go 2 blocks to our apartment building. Very simple. Even the drunkest person usually could figure something out, one right turn. We've probably made this walk plenty of times before.
Plenty of times.
We've lived in the area for a long time. We get down to this turn, and now we are both slightly drunk. And I say slightly, we're very drunk. We're barely walking the straight line. We get to the turn, and I'm having to what I think is a very in-depth personal conversation with Andy, and the light changes, and I start to walk. I turn right, and I walk across the road, and I continue to talk. And I talk, and I talk, and I say, hey, who do you think about that, Andy? And I don't get a response. And I say, Andy, and I don't get a response. And I look over my shoulder, and continuing straight down the road is Andy Spiteri, about another half a block away. He didn't turn right. I yell, Andy, what are you doing? And he sort of waves at me, and then
very New Yorker
keeps walking away.
Hey, I'm walking.
I try to text the guy. I get back a jumble of letters and words, and I somehow manage to get back to him. Are you going to be able to make it home? He says yes. $?35, and I say thank you for assuring me, Ed. He sent me H2 or something. And then
So,
what happened,
if I
Andy?
may, like we're leaving Dan's place, and me and Aaron are walking home, and like I said, 10-minute walk. So eventually, you know, we're walking, and I'm feeling good, and I think Aaron's beside me. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. And eventually, at one point in the night, I'm like, fuck yeah, I feel good. You know, I've been drinking all night. I'm getting home. I'm gonna get a good night's sleep. And at one point, I had to say to myself, you know what, Andy? I'm gonna start running like a lion and a tiger and a bear.
Oh my.
You want to get him quick.
So I start running. I'm having a great old time. I'm running down the street. I'm fist pumping. I'm just on top of the world. And so eventually, I say to myself, I'm like, wait a second, I should be home by now. I've been walking for an hour. And I was like,
Running.
oh, well, what the fuck? So I make a left turn, and I can hear a bunch of cars, and I find myself on, I walk for a block, and I find myself on McLeod Trail. And I'm like, uh-oh. And I look, and I am past Chinook Center, and I was like, oh, fuck. So I'm just like, well, how did I get here? My cell phone is dead, so I can't call a cab. I can't call anyone to come pick me up. So I think to myself in my drunken state, I'm like, I should walk to the movie theater and maybe find a cab. Now, the most unfortunate part about this whole night, and the reason I brought up us pissing off the balcony, is because when I was pissing off the balcony earlier, I had neglected to do up my fly.
That's important.
Now, when I had started running like a lion and a tiger and a bear, my cock, like a horse, had come right out of my shorts, and I had been walking for at least 3 blocks.
He
with
was
my cock
more
out.
like he was flying like a helicopter
To
down the road. Is
clarify-
what he was doing.
To clarify, you left Dan and Becca's. Your fly was just undone. That was it.
My fly was
It
undone
was
when I left
the,
Dan and
the
Becca's.
running that resulted in the.
It's what
Right.
moved it
Yes.
out of his trow.
Okay.
In-
If
into
it
the
hadn't
air.
been for the running,
Yes,
I probably would have been
clarify
okay.
because if you had left Dan and Becca's, I'd hope someone said, "Andy, your cock is
So
out."
let me get this straight. Dumbo was flying.
Let's just say I could have
You
jumped
tied
and
it,
sort
not
of blocked.
getting tied in a bow.
Andy almost took flight.
Yeah.
And just to clarify a little bit for
Let's
anybody
just
who
say I
doesn't
had
know
3 legs
Calgary,
that night.
he walked about 13 blocks past the right turn that he was supposed to take.
With his cock out.
So anyways, I walked past this big, beefy group of guys. I'm like, where's the theater? Even though it's right in front of me. And I couldn't understand why they were staring at me like that. So I eventually come to the theater, and at this point I
Alex,
see a
you're not
cab,
good.
and I'm waiting. And then I realize that my cock is out. So I put it back, and I see a cab, and I jump in, and he's like, are you Sarah? And I was like, yeah, let's go. And
Do I not look like
It's
Sarah?
Sarah, sir.
let's just say the next day, Andy Spiteri was late for work.
Yeah, I bet.
So we live in the same building, like I said. I'm sitting in the lobby waiting for a friend of mine to go out for breakfast early in the morning. He's about to leave town. You got to think Andy Spiteri starts work at about, let's say 8:30. I'm sitting in the lobby at 8:50, about 9. He gets off the elevator to walk by me and says, "Oh, hi." And I say, "Aren't you supposed to be at work, bro?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm really late. I gotta go." And then runs out the door.
Cock out in the
Like a
hall.
lion and a tiger and a bear.
His cock was still out. It broke the window as he ran.
Okay, now that story's drunk, but I've saved the drunkest story for last. I'm talking about the one and only Dave Meyer.
I'm gonna prefix my drunk story with my favorite drunken story about you, Andy, and you, Alex, which was when we went to the Roadhouse. It was like 9:35, and at 9:55, our friend Ashley proceeds to drag your 2 drunk asses out of the club.
Hey. It was my drunk ass. It was Andy's sick ass.
You fell down a flight of stairs.
I brushed it off just fine.
Okay, Dave, take it
bounced
away.
back.
Take it away.
So we're gonna rewind a bit. I'm 18, probably fresh into my adult years. It's about 11 o'clock. I'm at home reading Lord of the Rings. Frodo's about to take up the One Ring, go on a quest, and my phone rings, and it's one of my good friends, and he's in trouble. He needs a ride, and me always being a good guy, want to pick and help people up. I decide to go give him a hand. So I go and meet him, and he's with a group of other guys, and they're just completely smashed. And he's like, "Dude, we gotta go to the strippers. Let's go." So this was back before a time where I had seen a girl naked in real life. It was kind of uncomfortable.
I still haven't seen a girl naked.
I believe that.
What's that like?
You've seen Alex naked.
Oh, so I have seen a girl naked.
Okay, you're right. You're going out.
So I decide,
all
okay,
of you.
well, let's go. I committed to driving these guys. Let's do it. So we go to the strip club, and this is in Ontario. And in Ontario, you're actually allowed to sit in the very front row, and people can go up and lay on stage, and the stripper will dance all over you. So, like idiots, my friends decide to sit in the front row. You know, they're rowdy, they're having a good time, perv row.
Sticky seats.
I'm drinking a nice pop beverage because I'm driving. Sody pop. So my friends all of a sudden surround me, and I'm wearing a toque. This is important. And they shove a $20 bill in the front rim on my forehead and say I'm getting on stage. So I try to argue with them for a bit, but relentlessly they pick me up, throw me on stage, and this beautiful girl comes out and she starts dancing all over me. So I'm sweating bullets. It's an extremely uncomfortable situation. But this girl gets roughly into a 69 position.
So when you say roughly, was it like a 68?
Like,
was
it a 70, 80?
More-
70?
Okay, so you're in a 67.5.
Yeah, all right.
More rough on my end, and her junk is literally like 3 inches away from my face, and I'm sweating.
She has
bullets.
junk.
It's Thailand?
What kind of strip club are you at?
So she proceeds, for whatever reason, to start feeling me up, and out of instinct, I throw my head up and I headbutt her, her junk. She proceeds to jump up, go running off stage, and did not come back for the rest of the evening, where I got yelled and booed off the stage. Quite embarrassingly. And the worst part about that is my 20 was gone. So that is...
Your 20 was gone.
They probably used it on the medical bill to fix her cooter.
So that's my
Best junk,
my
Andy.
adventure.
I bet she has never gotten a tip quite like that.
No.
No,
That's why we call you Diamond.
She
buddy.
just got your diamond.
Okay, so really quickly, I want to go around the table and talk about the drunkest thing that you've seen one of us schmucks do. We're going to start with you, Dave, again. Drunkest thing that you've seen someone at this table do.
I'm going to pick Aaron Corbett because this just happened recently. Camping trip 2014. We have a group of us. We decided it would be fun to all go camping. We were not smart enough to bring enough liquor to survive the second night, but we did have enough liquor for the first night.
We should have had enough liquor for the second night.
Yeah, but we were idiots and we brought more food than liquor. So Dave's tip of the day, bring more liquor and you'll be fine.
Wilderness Dave.
Yeah. So we get out to the campground, we're all set up, and the night's progressing, we're busting out the drinks, having a good time, and Aaron is holding on to a full bottle of Jack Daniels, which he had brought. He proceeds the whole night to drink this bottle of Jack Daniels, and when I say drink, I mean
He
drink.
means down.
No glass.
I'll say that I remember picking up the bottle and taking the cap off to pour another glass full, and then thinking, I don't need to do this, and I threw the cap in the fire, and then just didn't let go of the bottle.
And Aaron gets completely fucking drunk. Now, I'm going to upload this picture probably around here that I have of him. But when you look at this thing, it's of Aaron. He's wearing, for whatever reason, however they came to be, pink sunglasses. He's holding an epic walking stick, and he's got an almost empty bottle of Jack Daniels, laughing like a drunk idiot around the campfire, talking to everyone in a Scottish accent, telling us all we're going to fuck sheep.
Irish accent.
Irish accent.
And, yeah, I was told that I was climbing trees.
Could you
as
quickly
well.
say that we're going to fuck sheep in an Irish accent?
Well, I can't just exactly talk in an Irish accent. But if you fucking insist, go fuck a sheep!
So, the night progresses.
Real, unscripted.
Aaron disappears, and it's getting late. It's about 3 o'clock in the morning, so I go to bed. I'm sharing a tent with Aaron, and it's a 2-man tent. So I get in, and he's passed out. I'm about to crawl into my pillow, and I feel something wet, and I just move my pillow a bit, and I'm like, oh, there's a bit of throw up here. That's not bad. I'll clean it up. Then I proceed to roll back my sleeping mattress, to which he had lifted, puked under, and then covered it back up in shameless denial. I did not sleep in that tent that night.
I'll say that I woke
cannot
up.
blame
I
you.
woke up
Yeah.
in the morning, looking at the ceiling of the tent, hearing the birds chirping. The sun was out. I was like, "Oh my god, what a gorgeous
Something was off
day!"
about
This
that
is-
smell, though.
I was like, "This is incredible." I look over. I say, "Where's Dave? He must be up already." I proceed to look slowly over my shoulder to the massive pile of vomit. And it freaks me out a little bit. I burst out of the tent. I then see there's no one up. I see the empty bottle of Jack Daniels laying in the dirt, and I see a broken camp chair. And I just shook my head.
All right, I'm gonna tell a story about Alex Gurnett. A couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago,
Probably 3.
Me and Gurns have pretty close to the same birthday. We're like 3 days apart, so we decided to go to the club and celebrate our birthday. And what we did was we brought a magic marker with us and had people signing shit all over us. So at the end of the night, we're coming home with cocks drawn on our arms and faces and whatever. And Gurns, as he's pretty notorious for, had been mixing his alcohol and drinking too much too
I'm
fast.
notorious for mixing alcohol.
And so one of our friends, our female friends, which is important, who has a bit of a reputation for kind of being a selective friend that you can only handle in certain doses, comes up and she wants to start dancing with Alex. And Alex, in turn, instead of saying, no thank you, I'm too drunk to dance, starts patting her on the shoulder and mumbling something.
No such thing as too drunk to dance.
Well, there's too drunk, then there's Alex
There's
drunk.
Alex drunk, which is
That's
the
too
So
drunk.
he starts patting her on the shoulder, and then all of a sudden, clocks her in the face with a closed fist. Now, after Alex punches her in the face, our friend looks at him in complete shock at what's just happened, and Dave, who was actually standing right there, had the first-hand impression of what happened.
Yeah, so there was the initial punch on our friend. Then another friend comes up to try to say, no, stop, to which he proceeds to punch her repeatedly in the face. And at this point, I run in to try to interrupt, and he punches the beer out of my hand onto the floor, spins around, and collapses on the floor.
I got up right after that.
After I hauled your ass up.
Probably.
So, I mean, to Alex's credit, like, that was the first time I've ever seen him punch someone. It looked like an okay swing, so, I wish he would have been there for our Kaylee spikes. He could have done some damage.
He might have been able to help us out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he fights better drunk than
We do,
than
apparently.
I'm taking that as a compliment. So
That's the only one you're going to get. So
I'm
just...
fine with that.
Okay, so speaking of drunk Alex, here's another story about Gurn's drunk, but I'll let you take it away.
It was Vegas again. Dave and I, very drunk.
I think it was our first night, actually.
It was our first night.
Yeah, it was.
Both very drunk. First realizing that booze is free. So I'm at a blackjack table and I'm doing pretty well for myself. And Dave's like, I'm going to slow down a bit. He's going to go to the bar. He's probably, 50 feet behind me at a bar. I can turn, I'll see him. He looks to the left, he sees me. I'm doing well. And Dave texts me. He says, you need to come over here. And I was like, I'm winning money. What do you need? And I'm winning a good amount of money. And he's like, this crazy girl's here. You need to come over here. And I'm not thinking much of it. I turn around. I'm like, gosh, she's not bad looking. Like, good job, Dave. Good job.
Diamond Dave.
Use the hotel room for a bit if you need. And winning money. And then another text like, Dave, Alex, you need to get over here. Dave, I'm not coming over there. Like, you're right there. You seem fine. So I'm only getting one side of the story. I think Dave could probably explain as to what this girl was. I'm
drinking at the bar alone, and this girl approaches me with her mother, and the girl proceedingly talks to me the whole night, even ignoring a couple other guys just to share a conversation with me. And after probably about 30 minutes of talking, she proceeds to say, like, we need to get married tonight. It's Vegas, let's do it. And at this point, I'm like, red flag. I'm going to text my good friend to see if he'll bail me out somehow.
What'd she look like?
She was probably about a solid 7. Reasonably tall, brown hair.
Solid 7. You gotta settle at some point.
In Vegas? On a drunk night like that?
I would.
When I'm drunk, a 7 is like almost a 10.
A 7's basically a 10 when you're drunk. And if you're in Vegas, then it's like an
Maybe
11.
she was probably more like a 6 then, if I was that drunk.
All right.
Okay, alright.
So, I weave around the subject, say that'd be a foolish idea, and we're talking. And the conversation goes on for about 20 more minutes, to which her mother piped up beside her and is like,
oh, yeah.
honey, I'm going to bed. Are you going to go fuck him or what? And this is a big red flag, like DEFCON 4. So I'm like, Alex, you need to come right here right now. Alex, where are you? And he's like, I'm winning money.
I'm winning money the whole time. I'm like, I turn around. I'm winning money. Like, I'm winning a lot of money. It's the best night ahead there. So I'm not really ready to turn around from this table. I'm looking back. I'm like, fucking guy is fine over there. Like, he's got 2 girls now. I see the mom walk up. And I think they finally left, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, after me just saying, like, I'm sorry, I can't, this isn't my thing. Like, you ladies have a good time in Vegas, but I definitely, yeah.
Look at how uncomfortable.
I'm a great wingman. I'm a horrible wingman.
Dave is getting uncomfortable talking about the story, fidgeting in his seat.
If a mother actively proclaims, like, are you going to fuck my daughter or what, that's a big red flag to me. And
if I was drunk in Vegas, I would be like, all green light, go.
Would you have been like, are you going to join us?
She would have had a brother that was her dad, or I don't know, something like
Hey,
this is Vegas.
Isn't there like a
Tennessee.
saying about something that in Vegas it stays there or something?
So you bang
Nothing stays there.
first and second generation.
You bring the syphilis back with you, but everything else stays there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we don't have a lot of time left, so we're going to end with Aaron and the drunkest story about one of us here. Go.
Okay, this is about Andy Spiteri. Occasionally, we go out to a local pub and we drink a ton of wine until we can't see straight.
Hashtag cheap wine night.
One night we did so with again our friend Dan, who's not here. We then proceeded to go. This is Aaron here. We had to cut this part of the show for reasons that shall remain with us. Needless to say, though, Andy was very drunk, and he will be very drunk many more times after this. Now back to the show.
You know what? If I could just have a quote from The Simpsons to end this podcast. Alcohol. The solution to and cause of all of life's problems.
Amen to that.
Amen to that. Cheers, boys. Thank you for listening to
Thank you,
episode
everyone.
0.5 The Cool Story Show. Twitter handles, you can find me at Spiteri316.
Dave Meyer 7.
Grenette A.
A Corbett 48.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Lord of the Rings.
Bum, 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 bum.
That's Jurassic Park.
Canada Day.
Damn it.